he can no longer do it, and so we're looking for somebody to take the treasurer. So if you're interested, let us know.
How hard is it? Like, what do you have to do? Not much.
Well, the main thing is you just gotta go, the bank's in Bridgeport, correct?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, it is a report, and you can't, by our bylaws, the treasurer is not allowed to be a signer on the account. So basically,
You
all
make
you can
deposits.
do is make deposits and, do a report every month at the meeting of how much money is in the bank.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
you can't actually sign checks, you can't take out money, so there's no.
And just remember to file taxes. That's the
Do
only.
what?
Is it
Remember to file the taxes.
Is it the
yeah.
treasurer that files it? Yeah, files
That'd be the
it.
most important job,
Yes.
remember to file the taxes.
That would be it. So, we need to fill that position pretty quick. And, who are the signers on it? Do you remember? Donnie and
It's probably Donnie and, who's the?
Steve?
Steve.
Okay, so who would take Steve, since we're fixing it?
Mine would be Steve's place.
You're taking Steve, so,
And treasurer would be whoever.
so.
Yes.
So, anyway, so if you're interested, let me know. If not, do you have any updates? It looks like we have one, essay so far.
We do have one essay that is submitted for the scholarship. So as everybody knows, we do go through the scholarship. I think Amy's saying we have 4 more.
Well, one of them
online.
is duplicate, so I don't know if they did.
One of
two.
these is a duplicate. This is also submitted online.
Oh, okay.
So we have 2,
3.
3. So over the next week or 2, when does that close? Closes February, right?
February 1st, isn't it?
February.
Yeah.
I'll get those posted and then we'll send it out for everybody to review and then we'll have a vote, I believe, at the meeting on who we'll give the scholarships to. And that will be probably the March meeting.
March meeting's
Is
usually
when
when
we
we
do that.
announce. And we'll get their things before then, so that they're here at the meeting
And
and be able to hand them out.
How many scholarships are you looking to put out?
I believe 2, right?
We usually pick 2,
Usually.
unless we just make a decision and go more than that, or sometimes, I think there was one year we only had 1, didn't it?
Right, but we typically do 2.
Yeah.
No,
Do we have the mentors?
Not yet.
Not yet,
We're working on it.
we're pray hard. Yes, ma'am.
The scholarship, is it for someone in college? Is that anyone, or like what are the criteria?
Usually grade school, junior high, maybe high school.
Okay,
Kids, we're just trying to get them interested into the club or into bees. Not all of them. My daughter was actually a recipient of it 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. She's still somewhat, but hoping that as she gets older, she'll come back and then say, okay, this is something I enjoy doing, and same with all the kids. So just really getting them to introduce it, and then they can come back hopefully at a later time and be part.
And that's kind of our thinking is, we know, because usually when they turn 16, and if they get a car, it's the same way with Boy Scouts, it's the same way with Girl Scouts trying to get their gold and their eagle. They just get so busy that they steer away from this and they go more to sports and driving a car, getting a job and kind of things like that. So,
Girlfriend, boyfriend.
Yeah.
see, I wasn't gonna bring that up, but okay. But anyway, we wanna plant the seed. And then as they become adults and they settle down, then they can come back to it. And we've helped make them a beekeeper many years before. So that's kind of our philosophy. So we know that some will and some may even keep going with it. I don't know, they may make a job out of it. But most of them, it'll come back to it
okay.
after they get through sowing their wild oats or whatever it is they sow when they're teenagers. I was not that way, I was sweet.
But the age is 8 to 18.
18.
Wasn't it 16? I thought it was 16.
I think we cut it off at 16.
I think.
Well, Landon would have been more than 16 last year.
Maybe we made an exception
I
because
know
we
it was
didn't
2
have very
years.
many.
We didn't do anything last
We
year.
didn't have anybody last year.
2 years.
Yeah, we didn't have, so maybe.
We didn't have anybody last year, so it would have been the year before. Now, next month, they're not here right now, but, Oakley and Presley are gonna come and tell you what the scholarship meant to them. They were recipients, I don't remember, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
2021.
So they're gonna come and tell how it affected them and what it meant for them to be a recipient of it. So it'll give you a little clearer view of kind of how we plant seeds and
I was a mentor for a girl year before last, and she got out of beekeeping because she started mixed martial arts. She got real into it, but she's still keeping bees. She's just not as active, and so I still communicate with her and help her and stuff. But yeah, so sometimes they just glitch it.
My daughter was a recipient of the program, but we were out of Tarrant County. And she did. Yeah, and I was in two. So
Is she still keeping, or?
kind of at our place. We've kind of taken on the goal of it, but
It's a
she
family
comes over
affair.
and helps with it.
And it is a family affair, because, you know, they have to have, especially the little ones. But, I think it's a good program, and it's done a lot of good. It's done a lot of good. Any other questions about that? All right.
The due date, when is the due date for the scholarship?
Do what?
The due date of the scholarships?
The due date is February
February
1st. You get them in there. You should get the name in there. Any other questions? All right, okay, well, I'm gonna turn it over to Amy now, and.
Did we have any volunteers for the treasurer
Oh,
position?
did
Oh,
anybody?
I think everybody's thinking about it, because nobody raised their hand, and
Don't be shy.
don't be shy.
She raised her hand. She
It's-
wants to
it's not-
remember.
I'm just waving at you.
Oh, okay.
Way to point her out,
You'd be
Amy.
great at it though.
Well, I think there's a couple of people in here that would be really, really good at it. Maybe they'll come up after the meeting and so graciously volunteer to participate, to partake in such a great, great endeavor. So it would be a very cool thing. I mean, I
Second.
think this meeting's really good.
Yeah.
I think it helps a lot of people, and the treasurer, you know, the money that you give to pay for your dues and stuff, that all goes to pay for that scholarship. And for this room, and little supplies that we do along whenever we have, workshops, when you go to those workshops, that all kind of goes back in. So it's not like anybody's getting rich in here, we're just, you know, trying to help kids and each other become better teachers. What can you ask for? Johnny has a question.
What happened with the cost of this room?
I thought you said you took care of that.
Well, I did, we took care of it last year, but,
Okay,
but your club, your garden club wanted to,
my garden club wanted to start meeting here, but I wanted to get hold of the guy, because I think you worked with,
Yeah.
not Carla, and that's the number I have. is
we worked with
Carla's
Carla the first year, but then the next year we did this, another man. And, but it was the same price as Carla gave us in the beginning. So I'm just asking you, has it increased?
Well, the price that she gave me was a lot more than the price she gave you,
Right.
and I haven't been able to get a hold of, catch the guy yet.
Okay.
So we wanna try to catch the guy, because we wanna have our meetings here, and then we wanna have our garden affair here, where the vendors are out here in the hallway.
Sure.
And that was a real good price that she gave me, but I wanted to talk to him, so I've gotta get back into that and start calling. But every time I called, he hadn't been in,
Do we have all the board members that we need for this club,
except for treasurer.
except for treasurer? Okay. Who are the board members?
I'm president
Vice President.
Secretary.
and no treasurer.
Okay, but there should be two.
Misty,
Misty?
and then I have not talked to Carol,
Yeah, he can't.
I've left that alone. So do we need to replace Carol, or,
Yes.
okay, so what exactly did Carol do?
Well, he put forth his opinion on anything that had to do with club policy or.
Now, he was advisor, wasn't he?
No,
It's just a voting member,
Call.
right? Isn't it just like a voting member?
I think it's called member at large, but
Yeah.
this is a member. of
Member
all
at
the-
large. That would be a good position, James.
Well, I'll do that one. I just don't want to be treasurer.
Okay, James said that he would be member at large.
I got it.
Well, while we're here, treasurer, the best job of all. Come on. Oh,
Stab at it.
Yay,
Nice.
thank you.
Oh, good.
oh.
I was like, oh.
You know, I was gonna have to drive by your house and honk. No, it's Jason, right? Jason Long?
Thank you.
Jason Long will do treasurer.
Okay.
So we'll get you situated on all, does James have any supplies, or Jim have any supplies he needs to pass off?
I would doubt it.
No.
Okay,
There's
There's
not a
no-
lot to the job.
okay.
I
Well, he's
have
got
the
a
old
bag he's
statements.
got to deposit.
Yeah.
Gotta take the baggie in, gotta take the baggie in.
So we need minutes reflecting that Mr. Long,
You're doing it right here,
okay,
James,
and then minutes for Lou to be added to the account,
right. And you're already on,
and I'm on it.
so that gives us 2 members.
Got it.
Okay, okay.
I'll type it up.
You'll type it up, make it look pretty. Email it to us. You're so good. Thank you, ma'am. All right, any other questions? All right, so Amy, I'm gonna run out and grab you some water and let you get started.
I'm not the most qualified person to give this presentation.
Yes, you are.
Donnie Johns is a master beekeeper, and so I was asked to come and talk to you guys about the master beekeeping program through Texas A&M. It's through the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Office, and if you haven't been on their website, I'm gonna explain to you why you should. So I'm just gonna share my personal story of why I started doing bees and why I joined the Master Beekeeper program. As you can see, I am an apprentice beekeeper, which means I've accomplished level 1, and we're gonna talk about the levels. I got bees, I got scammed, I got a guy, I paid him to bring my bees and help me and place them, and it was all bad. It went bad. So I had to make a decision. Do I want to keep going or just give up? I decided to educate myself to be a better beekeeper and not rely on other people to tell me how to do it. So in my process of doing that, I got super confused because this person says do it this way. This person says do it this way. That YouTube video says this. So I wanted a singular source of curriculum to teach me how to be a better beekeeper. That's how I came across the Master Beekeeper program, because I went to their website. They have great resources, which is free. So I decided I'm going to do this program, not for the glory of being a master beekeeper, but just to educate myself, to be a better beekeeper. And in the process, I learned a ton. And so, I mean, it's not hard. And if you haven't been a student in a while, it takes a little bit to like re-gear yourself into studying, because you do have to take a test. But it was great. And I would say on the other side of it, after I accomplished being an apprentice, I was a much better beekeeper. And I had a bunch of personal stuff happen and haven't gone on to advanced, but I'm gonna get back to it eventually. I'm going to. And I wanted to apologize that I'm not here very much. Work situation changed. I had to run my department, and I had to attend all the school board meetings, which happened on the first Thursday of the month. But that's over now, so you'll start seeing me again. Hopefully. Okay. So they started the Master Beekeeper program because they wanted to educate people to be better beekeepers, but also so that you could go out and you could do more community service, and you could educate the community about beekeeping and the importance of beekeeping. So there's different levels. It's designed for experience levels of all kinds. You don't have to already be a beekeeper to start it. You don't have to know what you're doing. It basically starts from ground zero and gets you going. There's 4 levels. There's the apprentice level, which I am, advanced, master, and then master craftsman. So to kind of give you like a overview, there's only 30 master beekeepers in the state of Texas. There's only 1 master craftsman. So it's a long process to accomplish this. It's not, I'm gonna do it all in a year. You can't do it in a year. They make it to where you can't do it in a year because you have to have years of experience in beekeeping. And so they want you to start slow, learn as you go, but as you're learning, they want you to teach the community about what you're learning. So part of being in the beekeeper program is you have to give presentations. You have to go to community things, garden clubs, library time, give presentations, and you have to document that. The benefits of participating, obviously personal growth, which is me, professional opportunities, not me, I'm not in it for professional opportunities, and then community impact, which has been great. I've enjoyed that. There's the different levels, we talked about all that. Good. Okay, so in the level 1, you have to take it doesn't cost any money to do the program. It costs money to take the test, okay? So the first thing you have to do is you have to register as a beekeeper in Texas. And I'm gonna give you a website, you can do that. You have to register. If you're not registered, you should. It costs $35 to register. Just go online, knock it out, get it done. Then you have to do the curriculum. You have to take online module tests, and then you schedule yourself to go take the exam. They offer it twice a year. And when I did it, it was at the state conference, but they also offer it at other times. And then you take, it's like, there's a practical where you have to go around and you have to point things out, like this is this and that is that. And you have to do a written test, and then you have to do a live test with an inspector, where you have to pull up frames and identify things on the frame. That was actually kind of fun. But it's a long process. And as I mentioned, you have to do community service along the way, and you have to document those things. And when I say document it, the person that you're doing it for has to actually sign a form that says you did it. So you can't really cheat your way through this. Like, you have to actually do it. Advanced Beekeeper is a much more intense level, and that's why a lot of people drop out after apprentice. It is a lot more involved in quality honey, like how to tell the quality of honey. It's a lot of pesticides, heavy biology. So a lot of people start studying for advanced and go, that's way above me. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do it. And so, I think there's thousands of apprentice. There's not very many advanced, and there's only 30 master. So you can see people drop out because it gets pretty hard. And same thing, you have to take a written test, you have to do a practical exam. I'm sure Donnie can tell us what that's like. The Master Beekeeper, you have to have 2 years of experience, and you have to do all the online curriculum, you have to do a written exam, practical evaluation, just like everything else. And the Master Craftsman, the way I understand it, is it's kind of like getting a PhD. Like, you have to do a thesis, you have to do a study. Am I right about that, Donnie?
Yeah, I got a major. My major was Queen Mary.
Are you a Master Craftsman? Are you the Master? Or are you just a Master?
Michelle Stoller-Burst is the only Master Craftsman, and I'm not sure what her major was for the Master Craftsman part. I was interested to ask her, and I've never wanted to unless I could do like something groundbreaking, like figure out how to have bees without mites, something like that.
Right.
But she did something, I'm not sure what she did, but she is the only Master Craftsman.
Yeah, it's really like getting a PhD. It's a lot of work. So I don't know if anybody's interested in that level, but I would definitely recommend that you do at least the apprentice level. It's like I said, it's really about educating yourself so that you don't have to ask somebody all the time, what should I do? And one of my big things was second guessing myself all the time, because I would get so much conflicting information. And so having a singular source that I can refer to when I have a question has really helped me to have more confidence and to not question myself. Of course I call Donnie sometimes and ask him questions, but just being able to go to the website, go through the modules, do the research myself has made me a better beekeeper. And I suggest that anybody that wants to be a really good beekeeper, take at least the apprentice level. You can go on there and you can join their email listserv, and they'll send you emails about workshops, resources, studies. They'll email you all kinds of good stuff. So I'd say get on that for sure. Or read the apprentice requirements and then just get busy, get at it. You can buy the books. There's a list of books. You can buy them, or you can just do everything online. They have modules and stuff that you have to take. You have to pass it, print it off, create a notebook. You have to keep all of your documentation in a notebook, and you have to take that with you whenever you go to take your exam. Like I said, the exam's only offered twice a year. Okay, questions? I know that was really quick.
Amy, the $35 to register as a beekeeper, is that a one-time?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not annual, is it?
Well, I don't know.
It just changed.
I thought they
It
changed it.
changed.
If you wanted to register, that was annual fee now.
I think it changed. It was like a one-time thing, cause I mean, I don't know, I registered mine and I was told I had to re-register. I had to pay money and all that, so.
Yeah, I think he said you have to do it, it's a requirement, but with only 2 of them, no one's following up on it, checking
Right,
on it,
yeah.
no one's gonna get in trouble if they
Oh,
don't type
yeah.
of thing, so I think it is
Yeah.
an annual thing now.
But as a prerequisite of
This
this
program,
program,
yeah.
the Master Beekeeper program, you must be registered.
Yeah, they'll verify that you're already registered, and you have to have at least a year of experience before you can take your exam. So if you get bees tomorrow and you start studying for apprentice, you know, you have to do that for a year before you can take your exam. I mean, I think I probably studied for about a year, and I'll just tell you, I studied, but I didn't like study. I just read a lot, and I did okay on the test. I did really good on the practical. I didn't do great on the written test because I didn't study diseases enough. They were really specific about diseases, difference between chalk brood and, you know, all the different things that you see inside the hive. So I kind of struggled on that a little bit. And then the treatments for Varroa, that was also on the test. And I would say learning through the apprentice, the thing that I valued the most was understanding the life cycle of a bee and when things are happening in that colony and when you should treat and when you shouldn't. And understanding the difference between the treatments and the resources that you can check to make sure that you're right. It really helped me understand, like, okay, this is what I need to be doing, this is what it should look like, this is what it should not look like, because I just looked at one and I had a wax moth problem in one of them. So, you know, I would just say that throughout the process, confidence was probably the biggest thing. And it just cost $35 to get registered and get started.
Where was the practicum?
Where is the test?
Yeah, was it like at College Station? Or?
Well, the one that I did was at the state conference, and that moves around every year. They offer it twice a year, so they'll do it at the state conference, and that one was, what, Galveston? I think they had it the year I did it. So I went to Galveston, and so they did it before the state conference. You had to go and sign up, and it's an all-day thing. And so, you know, it's, I got a hotel room, and I just stayed, I got up early. You have to go out and, you know, do it. You have to light a smoker, take a hive apart, identify all of the things in the hive, you know, take your written exam, do your practical exam, and then, you know, pray that you did okay. Because, I mean, it had been a long time since I had studied or taken a test, and so I was really nervous, like, Scantron, oh my gosh, I mean, I probably hadn't taken a Scantron test since I graduated from college in '93, so it was challenging, but I'm glad I did it. And so, I mean, I think I made some really good friends along the way. I met some interesting people, people that I can call on and ask questions that I really trust, and that I would never have met these people without doing this program. So it was worth it. It was worth the time and the effort. So what other questions do y'all have?
So when you register your hive and then you sign up for the program, is there a time limit that you have to take your
No.
test?
No. And that's the beauty of this program, is it's not like you have to do it within a certain number of years. I've been off because I've just had a lot going on in my life. So I can pick it back up at any time. I can pick it back up, start studying for advanced. It doesn't cost you anything. You have to pay for the test.
Right.
They don't care how long it takes you to take that test. It could take you 6 months, it could take you 3 years. I mean, I think I'm on 3 years since I took my apprentice test. So it's self-paced. There's no pressure. So if you've got something that comes up, you just set it aside for a little bit. Take care of what you need to take care of and then pick it back up. It's really, I think that aspect of it makes it easy because you're not like pressed, like you've gotta get it done by this time. Some people might not like that because then they're never gonna get it done, but I think at, this stage of your life, having that flexibility makes it easier.
But the 1 year mark starts when you register your hive.
Yeah.
So if you register.
Because that proves that you have bees.
The
You can't,
registration.
they want you to have bees, register your hive to be in the Master Beekeeper program. So, you have to actually be an acting, beekeeper to be in the program. And they communicate with you, they send you emails, that after you've finished apprentice, then you're kind of qualified to go travel and give presentations. So, AgriLife will send an email saying, hey, Brenham needs a presentation for something, who wants to go do it? And all the apprentice, advanced, any of them can answer and say, hey, I'll be there, I can do it. And so, that's one of the things, you get more experience, so you can go out and meet new people and stuff like that.
Whenever you're doing those presentations, are you solo, like especially if you're new at this, do you have someone as a sidekick or how does that work?
Well,
She's doing one right now.
my first presentation was the waggle dance
And it was
at the
great.
summer library program for kids. Low bar. All I gotta do is teach them how to do the waggle dance. So you don't have to do it doesn't have to be high level. It doesn't have to be about the biology of a bee. It could literally be teaching children about pollination and why it's important, why bees matter and things like that. So you can buddy up with someone that's in the program. And there used to be 2 members that were in the program with me at the same time, Steve and Lori. And so we would help each other, and we all did the library summer thing together, and so that made it more fun. We actually took the test. No, they didn't take the test that year with me, but they went to the state conference with me. So that it was fun, but it's not. The librarian signed my paper that said I did a presentation. You have to have some kind of a visual, and you have to print that off, and you have to put it with your form to prove that you did it. There's no it has to be 10 slides or anything like that. You just have to do a visual and do a presentation, and I think it's 30 hours you have to get.
Every May, schools are looking for presentations to keep their kids busy. Career day, and you go in and you can sit there for 3 or 4 hours or all day long and talk about it, and that's a presentation.
So I did Tammy's school.
Mm-hmm.
What was that for?
B-Day.
B-Day. So all of the 2nd, 3rd graders, it was little bitty kids.
Now, you did Career Day.
Oh, I did career day.
You did Career Day. Lori and Steve came in for B-Day, and then you went to the library. So
So it can be anything, and if you like talking to children, all your presentations can be to kids, and they love it. They just think you're the coolest thing in the whole world,
What if you don't like kids?
You can do, go do a senior citizen home, they'll love you too.
Yeah.
Go do the senior home, they'll be like, that's cool. Actually, I did that. I did one for the concerned citizens in Jack County. I've done a presentation
How's
about,
that different from kids?
it's similar. I did one about ag valuation, for people that are interested in getting into beekeeping for ag valuation. And I did that in Jack County, and a lot of people came to that.
There's many avenues. Donnie came to the garden club. Not that he needs hours, but he came there and he did a presentation on these for the garden club. So there's a lot more opportunities than you think. You just have to figure out how to make contacts.
Yeah, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts,
Mm-hmm.
4-H, FFA. Like the high school. I've been up to my high school, Jacksboro High School. I've talked to 4-H or FFA about bees and things like that because, kids can actually keep bees as part of the ag program. We did in Carrollton Farmers Branch. So one of the coolest things I did is I taught a group of maintenance workers how to be beekeepers because they find bees all the time, swarms and stuff, and then they don't know what to do with it, so they kill them. So I was like, no, let's catch them. So I taught all these guys how to catch a swarm, and we got boxes, and taught them how to feed them, and did all that, and it was really fun. That was a lot of fun. So one of the reasons that Texas A&M likes doing this program is because then you as you gain knowledge and you gain confidence, then you go out and you teach other people how to do those things and get them interested. And it's the little things like that that make a difference, that can make a change. Yes, sir.
Can you begin at any time of the year, so you
Anytime,
get a hive and you can enroll and?
anytime.
But you have to do it for a year.
Before
and then
you
they
can
only
take your
give the
test.
2 times a year.
Yeah.
So you might have done it for 3 years before you actually go take your test. Just how
Yeah.
it rolls out.
And they'll send you a list of when their tests are gonna be that year, so you can know to prepare yourself. So if you don't have a year in by the time the first one is, you can take the second one, you know, and they do it like 6 months apart, so it works out.
It doesn't matter what species of bee that you have?
But what, no, like, are you talking like Italian or
Yeah.
like something like that? No.
I've read there are multiple species that Texas would support, I guess, the region would support, so it doesn't matter,
It doesn't matter.
African.
No, well,
Don't bring
hopefully
that
no
up.
one's raising African bees, but, no, it's not that specific. I mean, you don't have to do that kind of stuff. I mean, you do have to talk about different breeds of bees and the scientific name of a bee and some basic biology of a bee, like the parts, the anatomy, you have to know all that, stuff like that, but it's not too difficult. Anybody can get it. I mean, cause it's really, the apprentice level is assuming you don't know anything, and you start and you go up. So you basically like ground zero, and you learn everything there is to know about beekeeping. And then the next level is a lot more involved, you know, like breeding queens and, you know, things I will never do. I'm not doing that. But it's interesting to learn about it.
And one hive is enough.
Yeah, you have to have one. There's no, like, you have to have so many, and if you lose them, you lose them. You know, and if you're in a place where your one hive swarmed and you can't get another one, they're not gonna kick you out of the program. Because you registered as a beekeeper and you lost your hive and you can't get bees again until the spring. They're not gonna kick you out.
That'd be a good time to stay.
What else?
So how long have you been the apprentice?
I think it's been 3 years.
21?
Yeah, I think it was 21. They give you a cool patch and a pin that you can wear, a certificate that says you did it. I mean, I thought I climbed Mount Everest. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And just because I hadn't done anything like that in so long, just learning something new was exciting. And especially to put it into practice. So it's not just something I'm learning, I'm actually doing it. And so the Master Beekeeper program is about hands-on learning. It's hands-on experience. And the people that are in the program, they're so nice. And if you have a problem, they'll come help you. I mean, they're great. Everybody that I've ever talked to at Texas A&M has just been amazing to work with. Their resources are great. And I like the fact that I can just go there as for research instead of trying to like Google it and then you get 50 different things. I just go to them and that's where I find my answers.
So how many hours did you have to do volunteer work?
I want to say it was like 30.
And that was before you took the test? Yeah, so you have to do your 30 hours?
I'm not sure about the number.
Or
I'm not sure about the number, but
it's
it's
before
all,
the
and when
test.
you go to the website, it tells you all the things you have to do. And they want you to read that before you ever start. Because you don't want to get through it, take the test, and go, oh, I didn't do that part. You got to make sure you have everything covered, you know, all the things that they want you to do. So I would just go to the website and read all the prerequisites for each level. Just get started in the apprentice level. Even if you don't want to take the test, you don't have to take the test. You can just learn. The online modules are great. The resources are great. The listserv is great to get the emails from them. I mean, you get all kinds of information. So, I mean, it's just a good place to start if you're learning. If you're learning beekeeping, that's a really good place to start.
So there's no volunteer hours the first year. You have to be a beekeeper for a year, and then you're an apprentice. And then for that apprentice year, there's no volunteer hours for that year. Is that right?
I did. I have volunteer hours.
Okay. But then on the second year, the advanced beekeeper requirement, you have volunteer hours.
Okay,
I thought, yeah, cause I thought it was just the test. You just have to have the bees take the test and then for the next one.
well, maybe so. I went all in. Y'all go on the website, you can read all this stuff. I went all
Yeah,
in.
it's very easy to
I joined this
understand on the
club.
website. It
Yeah,
absolutely is.
it
I've
is.
done it a few times.
I joined this club, I joined the state association, I joined the National Bee Association. I mean, in the advanced level, you have to hold an office in the bee club, or something like that, so, you know, it's just, I just went all in, just learned it all. I've registered for everything and started learning everything I could, so. But yeah, I mean, it's all defined there for you on the website.
Roughly, how much is it to start?
Just start the $35.
Oh, no.
No, you're talking about
The
bees.
the
Oh, the
hive,
Oh, to get bees.
Smoker and all that.
Oh gosh, I did a
Oh, if you're worried
presentation on
about
this.
the money, then you might find another club.
No, you behave.
No, I mean, okay, so,
Is fine.
So,
It's-
how about you just
it
answer
could
the
be a
question for
pin.
the new guy, you know, I think that's a fair question.
Wasn't it like 700?
Start, what's the
I
starting
did
buy-in?
a
Yeah, she did
presentation
a
on this,
presentation on it.
where it broke down all of the basics and everything, and for the nuke, if you get a nuke, and with it's frames with brood and a queen and all that, if you start with that, one box, all the things you need, it was about $1,500 for everything. That includes your hive tool, your suit, your smoker, the bees, like just all of this, the minimum was about $1,500.
And you
You
can
can
look
spend
on
more than that.
Facebook Marketplace
Yes.
every now and then.
Buy out somebody that's getting out.
Yeah, find
Then
somebody
you
that's
buy
getting
it
out.
for 50 cents on the dollar.
Find out why
So-
they're getting out.
So,
Well,
there's
Not
a,
easy.
Also buy some of the supplies.
there's a guy in McKinney, I think,
Right.
he
Yes.
sells
There's a few things that you have to have when you are working with your bees, but you have some things that you can buy as you go. Like, you don't need to go out and buy an extractor and all of that.
Oh,
stuff.
no, that does not include an extractor.
Oh, okay.
No, no,
You
no,
could
this is just
probably
basic.
buy a really good hive that'll get you through the first year and a good suit and all the tools and stuff you need for, you know, if you're careful, $600-700. And then if you just kind of keep coming to the meetings and talking to people, eventually there's gonna be a swarm of bees hanging from a branch and maybe you go out there and get them and you don't have to pay anything for bees.
How
There's
much is
other
it?
ways of doing it.
But let's go to the other end of the scale, in a third world country, where you don't have anything like this, and you just put some mesh over your face, and you go out there and catch the bees, and you put them in a cardboard box, it's nothing.
That's
There's
true.
that.
They do it.
I mean, you know,
My first nuke was $325.
for the bees.
For the
There's
bees.
there's a
That's
guy
just
in
the bees.
McKinney, I don't know if you're wanting to drive that far, but he sells you have to assemble it, but he has the boxes that you can buy for $15, and you take it and assemble it. You'd have to buy the frames to go in it. You can get those,
If you build them yourself, it's cheaper.
yeah.
You can buy them put together.
That costs a
So
little.
basically, I mean, there's ways that you can save money. And I think when you first start, you have to ask yourself, are you just learning or are you gonna be in it for the long haul? Because if you buy cheap equipment, you're gonna be replacing that equipment. If you're in it because you wanna keep doing it, then you buy better equipment. So I think as you start off, you could start with an inexpensive box and some inexpensive frames that you build yourself and save some money that way, if that's what you wanna do. But I mean, I think just like average equipment, average everything, because I mean, you can spend a lot of money on a suit. I mean, I got like the cheapest jacket I could get. I've upgraded since then, but, I didn't start with good stuff.
Yeah, and Manor Lake puts theirs on sale March 1st, every year for the past 10 years. They run a sale on their suits, Man Lake, and you can order it. And, so you get, $30 or $40 off. But,
Or look on Marketplace, cause my husband got it, his very first jacket on Marketplace, and some other things for, what did you spend,
There's a,
what did you do,
Yeah,
150?
get a couple of hives, some miscellaneous tools, the jacket, and.
Just make sure if you get used equipment that you've cleaned it really well, that you've cleaned your frames, that you've frozen your frames to make sure there's no diseases. So if you buy used equipment, you just need to make sure that you've killed everything. You're not inheriting somebody else's problem. They got out of it because they had wax moths.
Well, he didn't buy he just bought the jacket and the tools.
I'm just saying if you bought
Right.
used boxes and used frames,
Well, we bought used boxes.
yeah,
You can
'cause
put them in
I
your
did that.
freezer.
I did that, when I first got, I bought some used boxes and I torched them, I torched the inside with a blowtorch. Just kinda charred it, just kill everything, because I didn't have freezer. But freezing, it's honestly the best thing to do. I don't have a chest
What is
freezer.
it,
over there.
3 days?
Yeah.
3 days, and you kill just about everything. I can't imagine anything that could have.
Of course, Donnie just leaves his outside and, I can't, I
But the
swear,
problem with when you get started is you get your bees, and for some reason you come up with a need to have a second hive for
Yeah.
whatever reason, and so you gotta get yourself a box and the equipment, and then all of a sudden, one of them is about to swarm, and so you gotta do a split. And you do the split, you gotta put it in another box, and then my first year, I had a hive that decided to swarm on me 5 times. I caught it 4 times, so I started with a hive and ended up with 5. So,
When you buy your.
it can, but I'm also somebody who
You
doesn't
could
go
use it
in,
for
you know,
that purpose.
Partway.
Catch it,
halfway.
you have it until they get moved up and then put it in.
But James,
That's what I've got.
explain to them how good of a beekeeper you were, I mean, of feeding your bees. You fed the heck out of them. So
Well-
that's how you ended up with so many swarms.
Yeah, you'll probably.
Well,
need a
that
feeder
was-
of some kind.
like I said, I don't do anything, halfway, I go
April.
full in, and so, when I finally got my bees, I couldn't just, I could stand there and look at them all day, but eventually I wanna go in and look at them. And the only way I could justify going in there is if I fed them every week, so I went in there and I fed them every week. And I later found out I probably shouldn't feed them as much, cause it's gonna fill up all their space. And I overfed, but, if I would have known what I was doing and provided the space for them, I could have had this monster hive, but instead, it split. But I also had a hive that, when it swarmed, it didn't kill its new queens. It just, a queen was born and boom, a queen was born and boom. But it was created because of,
But you learned a lot.
April
Oh my
1st is
gosh.
when you're supposed to.
yeah,
have
my
your
mistakes my first
super
year.
Training.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's like the
Last
learning
year.
from hard knocks, I mean,
For our meeting, we'll split this room in half.
yeah.
And,
I mean, my first hives, I didn't have them placed in a good spot. It was probably the worst spot on my property where this guy told me to put them. I didn't feed them enough. I didn't treat them. I didn't know all those things. And I wanted someone just to tell me what to do. And you know how that is. And so that's when I decided, okay, they both left, they both swarmed. And so I went out there one day and then had 2 empty boxes and was brokenhearted. So I felt like a total failure. So that's when I decided, okay, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna have to learn. I'm gonna have to educate myself. And so that's what started me on my learning journey. And I did really struggle when I first started with second guessing and asking too many people their opinions. Because then you're like, oh my gosh, this person says this and this person says that. And it's real easy to it's all swirling around in your head. And so for me personally, having a curriculum, a singular curriculum, that helped me tremendously in my confidence as a beekeeper. Because I mean, I was this close to just like throwing in the towel and saying no. I mean, the only reason I got bees was not because I want to be a professional beekeeper or because I want to have honey or I want to sell honey at a farmer's market. It's because I like to garden. And when I first bought my property 20 years ago, I had tons and tons of bees. And then every year I had less and less and less bees. And so, I mean, I had a 4,000 square foot garden. And when I first moved there, I had bees like crazy pollinating my garden. And so it just got to where I never saw bees. And I thought, I think I'll just grow bees for myself. And that's what started the interest. So it wasn't about being a professional beekeeper or making money or anything like that. It was really just helping out pollinators and helping myself with my garden.
So as far as your public impact on the community, how many presentations have you done?
I think I've done 12.
12 in Jacksboro? Or?
No, I mean, I've done them in Carrollton, because I work for Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD. So I've gone into science classes and talked to especially elementary kids because, you teach them the waggle dance, they think you're the coolest person in the whole world. I've done 4-H, I've done a lot in Jet County, but also in Carrollton, in Wise County. I volunteered for a lot of things when I was trying to get hours and just learning, you know, just to be involved. But going to the state conference is a good thing. You should go at least once in your life. It's overwhelming. I mean, if you've never been, it is completely overwhelming. It's like a brain dump because you go to all these different classes and you learn so much. But it's amazing because you walk away with it with so much knowledge and you've met people and you have new resources, and it was a really cool experience. I haven't gone back, but I mean, it was great to go.
When's the state conference?
Isn't it June?
Typically October.
October? Yeah. And they move it around. It's not always in the same spot. But if you join that listserv, they'll send you all the information about all the workshops that are coming up and things like that.
There's one in January coming up in a couple of weeks in East Texas, but it's
Tyler?
no Longview.
Longview.
So yeah, there's different conferences and things, and sometimes don't vendors hold stuff like that to sell things, like they'll have some kind of a learning experience, like a conference, and it would be like kind of vendor driven, where you have a lot of vendors there selling stuff, but that's not the state conference. So the state conference is literally like enormous. I mean, it was.
And there's some smaller, I know I went, gosh, I can't remember where we went, but we went someplace in East Texas and they had, Mr. Ed was their speaker. And then they had their club members speak after him. And they had like 4 speakers, and then they had some vendors in the back that were, I think Manna Lake was there, and then people in their county that sold bee-related products were there. So it was real low-key, but it was very, very informational, because you got to hear how people in East Texas kind of took care of their bees and everything, and then you got to see Mr. Ed.
Yeah, but that's also part of the thing, is like what's happening in East Texas is not what's happening in North Texas. And so that's one of the good things about having a local club with your local people, is because y'all kind of have the same things going on at the same time. I mean, from Wise County to Jet County, it can be drastically different. I mean, you guys have something blooming and I don't. Because I mean, it's colder, a little bit colder where I am. And so my stuff tends to bloom a little bit later. So when Tammy's like, oh, this is blooming, I'm like, not yet.
Yeah, and that's what I've learned too, just in Wise County. Things in the north of the county bloom later than they do in the south, because James always comes up with all these pictures and somebody else that lives further south than I do. I live very north. And I'm like driving around going, this is not blooming yet. And then after the meeting, in a week or so, then I start blooming. So it's very,
Dandelion yesterday.
do what?
Dandelion yesterday.
See, I don't have any dandelion
See,
I
yet.
got handpicked.
Everything is super confused.
But this is weird right now.
I have irises blooming. I should not have irises blooming.
Right.
Like, everything is so, yes, blooms. Everything is so confused at my house because of the temperature.
Monday, they won't be.
I know.
It'll be
I'm
different.
gonna lose a lot, but, you know, and that's also part of the deal, is when you get bees, you start rethinking like what you have planted and what they have resources and, you know, things like that. And so it kind of like gardening and beekeeping kind of going into
They
hand.
do.
And paying attention to what's around you. You know, the forage. I think last year is kind of one of my therapy things I did for myself, is I documented every single wildflower on my property as it was blooming, identified it when it was blooming, all of that stuff. So I kind of have like a diary or a journal of everything on my property that bloomed last year. And so that was a really cool thing to do. So.
About how many hours do you spend on beekeeping in a week?
Oh, there's weeks I don't do any.
Yeah.
It's kind of a seasonal, I mean, you should get in it and look and see what's going on.
So you really should have locked up probably December 1st. This should be cold right now, they shouldn't be coming out, but I'm still peeking in there because
I was in mine today.
I'll be in mine.
Yeah, I'm gonna go feed tomorrow.
Yeah, we shouldn't be doing that right now.
No.
It's January, but come Monday,
Saturday.
I mean, or actually Sundays when the rain is supposed
Isn't
to,
it like under 60 degrees, 50 degrees, you
55.
shouldn't?
55.
Okay.
but,
You shouldn't open up your.
yeah, you shouldn't open them, but come Monday, you know, the high is supposed to be what, 40?
Yeah,
And the
I mean,
lows-
I had bees
Low is
robbing one of my,
19.
where I had all the math walks wax moths. All of my bees were robbing it today. I was like, yeah, help yourself, take it, go. I mean, it's, you know,
Carry on.
do your job. So, you know, but, to answer your question, there's not like a definitive answer, like it's X number of hours a week. It just depends on where you are and what's going on and how many hives you have and, you know, things like that. Donnie, how would you say average hours for a beekeeper?
Sarah and I did 5 hours over 60 hives yesterday, or day before yesterday,
But you'll probably start off with
south of
just
San
one.
Antonio.
And remember, every time you open it, they have to go in and repurpleize it, so. You're making work for them when you open it.
Yeah, every time you open it, you're making it a little bit harder for them.
But, we were feeding and taking away space and giving space to overpopulated hives. And so we were doing a lot of different maintenance, pre-spring maintenance. And if you wanna get into your hive right now, while it's still a little warm, you got a chance, but here in a couple of days, you won't have a chance.
Yeah.
It'll be too cold.
Like Sunday's when the rain's supposed to hit.
Saturday night.
Saturday
So if you have
night,
any
so
fondant,
Saturday.
it'd
would
be a
be
good
the
idea
last
to
day
throw it on.
you get it.
Saturday night.
If you have any what, Donnie, what'd you say?
Fondant.
Oh, fondant, yeah.
So it's not, that's not a cold liquid, you know, it's something that they can get on and eat.
Yeah, when I went to the state conference, I attended a class on how to make a sugar brick. And it's sugar and pollen and honeybee healthy and chamomile flowers and apple cider vinegar. I mean, it's all this stuff. You throw it in and you mix it all together and then you bake it into like a brick. And it sits on top of your frames, so you have to have space for it. And they can get up underneath it and they can huddle underneath it and they can have food resources, because when it's really cold, they won't break, you know, and so they can't eat. Sometimes they'll starve to death even if there's resources in there because it's so cold they can't move. If they're underneath that, then at least they have something to get to. And then condensation, when it gets cold, it won't drop on top of them, it drops on top of the brick. So I
Which is
thought
good.
that was one of the things that I learned at the state conference. That was probably one of the most valuable things I walked away with, is how to feed my bees over the winter easily for me. Now, if you've got 60, that's not practical. Fondant is your game if you've got a lot. But if you just got a few like me, I just make my own.
So, a question for that. So, I've never made one, and I've heard of them. Last year, we bought, I guess it's fondant, the long pollen patties,
Pollen patties.
and, put in, and they were fine. The first time we put it in, we went back and checked, like, 6 weeks later, and it had molded. So they didn't eat it all, and so we pulled it out and put another one in it, and they did eat that one.
Yeah.
But then this year we were gonna put in one, and when I pulled them out, they had hive beetles and this was in my house. Like I stored it in my house under in a cabinet, so it wasn't to the elements or anything, but there was little bugs crawling in it, and so I started researching. And it was saying that they were hive beetles, larvae, and that it's really not good to put those in it because it attracts more of them into your hive. So, does what you were talking about that you make, would that?
No.
I only put it in there in the
Hive
winter.
beetles they don't go after the sugar.
Do what?
Hive beetles aren't after the sugar, they're after the protein.
Right.
So,
So they're not gonna.
what I'm making is more than just pollen substitute.
So that you wouldn't have that problem with what you're
Well,
making.
and also I only put it in there in winter, so.
Well,
you're
that's
not
I
gonna
don't-
want-
the only time we did
I
it.
don't put pollen in mine at all,
Okay.
ever, never. Not once have I ever put any pollen in my hive,
Okay.
and I've never had a problem with a lack of pollen.
And so you just put the fondant
I'll only do for winter, I'll only do the winter, I call them patties.
patties, okay?
But, yeah, I only do that, I don't do
Well,
pollen.
that's the
in
only time
winter.
we ever did it.
I'll
was in
use
the winter.
those things,
Yes,
I'll
we
put that
just
out,
started it.
but.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
and they love it.
I've seen in my hives, every single month of the year, there has been a time where I can look at my hive and see bees bringing in pollen.
Okay.
I have seen flowers with pollen in them every month of the year in my area. Now, that's not enough,
Right,
but typically
Sure.
they have enough going in that get through the winter. So I've just, because of the hive beetle thing, I've never ventured into, if you have any questions about pollen patties, I've got zero answers.
Okay, but what you're talking about.
I've never,
Totally different.
yeah, but
Okay.
I have never had a single hive beetle because, and this is just my theory, there's no scientific proof behind it. I have chickens, and the hive beetle larva is in the ground, and I have never had a single hive beetle, and I think that my chickens take care of all of that.
Are they sitting in the sun too? Your hives sitting in the sun?
They do, yes, they're not, in the summer pot, in the hot afternoon, they're shaded, but in the wintertime, the first thing that it gets sun early in the
That's
morning to
pretty
warm
much
them up.
ours.
Yeah.
Mine's constantly in the sun except in December and January. It's the shade. I
Yeah.
don't have hives.
I put mine right behind my chicken house, so I have some shade, but I also have the early morning sun in the winter. So it's a pretty, I mean, it's a pretty great location. But I don't know why, I just never have hive beetles.
Well, we haven't
I have
had,
wax moths.
we haven't had any in these hives because I didn't put that in there. I just did it last year in the winter and then we didn't do it throughout but we were gonna put some in for the winter months this time, and when I saw that and I started researching, I was like, oh, I don't want that. Cause when we lived in Arlington, we did have problems with hive beetles and we didn't ever do anything like feed them stuff. They just were attracted to our hives and we lost hives because of them. So when I read that, I panicked. So I was wondering if what you were talking about was different, if they
It
did
is
that.
different.
Okay.
It has a pollen substitute in it, but it's powdered and you mix it in, it's mostly sugar.
Okay.
It's just got a little bit of the pollen in it, but it's kind of like a, smorgasbord of all good things for bees.
Where'd you get your recipe for it?
I got it at the state conference.
Can you
I
share
can give
it?
it to you.
Okay, that would
I'm
be
not
great.
supposed to, but I will.
Okay.
You had to go to the class and pay for the conference, and they were like, please don't share this. I'm like, everybody's sharing this, what are you talking about? But yeah.
Is it Stan's sugar patty?
Huh?
Is it Stan's sugar patty?
No.
Okay.
He called it a sugar brick, didn't he?
Yeah.
Brick.
I don't think it was just Stan's sugar brick. What are you making, a candy board? Is that what you're doing, or are you doing fondant?
This year I haven't, I've bought them.
You bought,
Bottom from that and their winter patties. I've been consumed with a different hobby.
okay. Well, I mean, that's fair. I mean, my bees were
But yeah,
neglected
usually
for a
mine,
while.
when I did mine, it was sugar, a little bit of water, a little bit of honey, be healthy, and,
Yeah, I baked
wax
mine to
paper.
get them real solid.
No.
And that way they have something to get underneath and eat.
And then
They just,
like
I mean,
the-
you can
the
see
bread
it,
thing
like,
that you put in the top.
sometimes they'll
In the
consume
shim.
half of it. Sometimes they just consume a little bit. It just depends on the winter, right? And so, but you can see like the little ring of where they are underneath it and how they eat it. So it's really interesting.
Okay.
It's interesting to watch. To answer your question about average time, I think it's how much time you want to put into it, honestly. I spend hours just sitting there watching my bees fly in and out. See what they got. They got pollen, what are they doing? Are they fighting? So I'm fascinated with them. So I mean, I just pull up a chair and just sit there and watch them for hours. So it's really what you want to put into it. So I'm sorry, I don't have like a great answer for you, but.
I have a bee adjacent question. I'm getting bees in spring for the first time, and so we have tilled part of our yard, which is 2 acres. I know it's not very much, but I was planning on planting wildflowers. Usually you plant wildflowers and like milkweed whenever it's colder, and then it will bloom once it gets warmer. But with the weather being so crazy, I have not planted yet. So when should I plant wildflowers?
That's a Tammy question. Seeds, right? You're talking about throwing seeds?
Yeah, I just
I
have.
would have already had them out there.
You might get away with it if you can get it in there before it freeze, because they need that freeze, right?
They
Some do.
Yeah.
Some
Some of
do.
them need to
They
freeze
water
to crack the
quickly
balls.
needs
Yeah.
to freeze.
But I would get them in there, I mean, because it's supposed to start raining Sunday.
So,
And
If you
then,
till,
like-
if you till, you might not need to do anything. It might just take care of itself within a couple of years. You may have a field full of flowers. It may not be your choice.
no,
They'll be
yeah.
really beneficial flowers. And some of them, they may be the Indian paintbrush, they may be bluebonnets, they may be the kind that you want, but you may not have all of them.
Or just a whole bunch of grass that I just.
Even with, I haven't done anything specific with an area of mine, and lately what I've done is a lot less mowing. And last year, I had the Indian paintbrush, which is in my experience, of all the flowers, the one that the bees produce the best honey with around my area, and that whole back area was filled with them, and I didn't do nothing.
You don't have to have your forage in your yard. I mean, like, they're gonna go out and they're gonna find it. So if you don't have wildflowers
There's
blooming,
not much in our area.
well, you might be surprised.
Plant some trees.
Yeah, I
Plants
mean,
Even trees.
Trees are
Trees
your
are
best
better.
bang for your buck.
yeah.
Okay,
Please,
thank
yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, trees are.
Because
So-
you get
So
more
just because
bloom
you don't
and
see
blossoms
flowers doesn't
on
mean
a
they don't have
tree
forage.
than you do
There
by
could be
having
things
flowers.
that you don't realize that they're foraging on. So I grow a lot of
Yeah,
herbs.
that's true.
Pear,
So,
They
there'll
don't-
be,
They
blueberry,
don't forage near, they forage out in the
Well-
forage bag.
Yeah.
they'll go until they find it.
Yeah, it's not within 50 yards, a little bit further.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they'll go out really far to find forage.
I mean, they travel like 4 hours in my truck. Well, I'm telling,
I knew what you
was
meant.
telling this story, I'm like a bee magnet or something, like we left my house and they get in my truck, like they like seek me out, it's weird.
You're the bee whisperer.
I don't know, but
They
I'll
sting
go,
you?
I'll go, they have, when I work and they've gotten in my suit somehow, but not normally, they don't just come and sting me, but I'll have my truck parked and I'll open the door to get in and I'll have like 10 or 15 bees, like just get in my truck, and I'm like, what are you doing? And so we went,
It's your
my
air
daughter,
freshener in there.
no, there's not,
it's just her.
it's just
It's
me.
you.
And we went to, so I was having problems with telling my daughter, I was like, I don't know why they're seeking me out. And we went to this, 4 hours away to Broken Bow, and we're sitting there the next day and I have bees, like swarming around me. Nobody else, just, and like, I told my daughter, I said, I think they followed me here. Like,
Your shampoo, your perfume.
They like
Something
chicken
smells
feed,
nice.
they like cattle feed.
now I have all of those, and maybe that's what they're smelling, I don't know.
They'll get all over it.
My bees love to get in my hair. I mean, I'll have bees like all in my hair, and I'm just walking around, there's like bees bzzz in my hair, and my daughter-in-law freaks out. She's like, oh my gosh, you have bees on you. I'm like, yeah, they just like to hang out up there. They're not stinging me, they're fine, they'll go. But it's weird,
Yeah.
like, they're just, like my hair, I think it's my shampoo. They love it. They'll roll around in my hair, so. Anyway, any other questions?
How much of a credit are you getting for tonight's presentation?
Why am I'm getting chocolates.
Yes, you did, but from the Texas Master Beekeeper Program.
Oh, I don't know.
You didn't bring your papers, so somebody can sign it?
No, I have enough. I have enough for advanced. I'm done. Like, I've got it already enough in there that I'm all good with that. So at this point, I'm not documenting them because I've got it all. I've got a notebook, it's all done. So
But I noticed they have a registration for a test soon.
it says it opens early January.
Are you going to register for that?
No,
Take that test?
I haven't studied for advanced yet.
I think he's trying to put pressure on you.
No, the thing is, I need, well, I talked to Bill Baxter about it. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. Why am I putting this on me? You know, he's like, because you set a goal and you're gonna finish it.
Right.
You know, and so I'm like, okay. But it's just, I've just had a lot of crazy stuff going on in my life and unexpected things, and I have a grandchild that lives across the fence from me, so I see her quite a bit. You know, just a lot of crazy stuff, and I don't set aside time to study for advanced, but I'm trying to get there. Plus I have problems with my eyes because I stare at a computer screen all day. So at the end of the day, my eyes are exhausted. Now, if it's on audiobook, I'm good, you know, but actually reading something's a problem.
After you've done it all day, you don't wanna come home and do it again.
Yeah.
I understand that one.
Anyway,
Any other questions?
hope you found it useful.